The giant alien ship appeared in the sky above New York without warning. It hung there, silent and huge, blocking the sun. People in the streets stopped and stared up. Some ran. Some took pictures. Some just stood with open mouths. Admiral William Clark watched the ship from the roof of the UN building. His heart beat fast, but his face stayed calm. After 30 years in the Navy, he had learned to hide his fear. "Sir, the President is on the line," said a young officer, holding out a phone. Clark took the phone. "Madam President." "Tell me what we're dealing with, Admiral," said President Ellen Morrison from the White House. "A ship about 2 miles long. No weapons showing, but it's got to be armed. They're not responding to any messages." As if they heard him, a bright light shot down from the ship. It hit the ground in front of the UN building. When the light faded, 3 tall, thin aliens stood there. They had blue skin and large black eyes. "They're here," Clark said into the phone. "I'm watching on TV," the President said. "Stay calm. Remember your training." Clark almost laughed. There was no training for this. The aliens walked into the UN building, past guards who were too shocked to stop them. They didn't run or rush. They walked like they owned the place. 2 hours later, Clark sat in a meeting room with world leaders and the aliens, who called themselves Sorexians. They spoke perfect English. "We represent the Galactic Council," said the tallest alien. "We govern 300 species across the galaxy. Earth is now under our protection and control." The room got very quiet. "What does that mean exactly?" asked the UN Secretary General. The alien smiled, but the smile didn't reach its eyes. "It means we will guide your development. We will control your growth. We will decide what technology you can have, what resources you can use, where you can go in space. And if we refuse?" asked the Chinese president. "That would be unwise," said the alien. "Very unwise." Later that day, Clark sat in the White House Situation Room with President Morrison and her top people. "They've set up some kind of station in orbit," said Defense Secretary Harold Wright. "Our missiles can't lock onto it. Our planes can't get near it." "What do they want?" asked Morrison. Linda Reeves, the new head of the Extraterrestrial Affairs Office, looked up from her tablet. "They say they want to help us, to protect us from ourselves. But from what I can tell, they really want our resources, our water, our minerals, maybe even our people. They're saying all planets at our level of growth automatically belong to them," Clark added. "It's their law." "Their law? This is Earth. Our laws apply here," Morrison said, her face getting red. "Not anymore," said Reeves. "At least not according to them." Morrison stood up and walked to the window. She looked out at the White House lawn, where her children had once played. "What are our options?" "Fight and lose," said Clark. "Their tech is at least 200 years ahead of ours." "Or play along," said Wright. "Do what they say. For now." "They want us to send people to their station," Reeves said, "for what they call orientation, to learn the rules." Morrison turned back to face them. Her eyes were hard and clear. "Then that's what we'll do. We'll send our best people. Scientists, soldiers, diplomats, people who can learn everything about them." "And then?" asked Clark. "And then we do what humans have always done when faced with those who want to control us." Morrison's voice was steel. "We fight back, just not in the way they expect." The next day, the Sorexians returned to their ship, satisfied with Earth's response. Humans seemed willing to accept their place in the Council system. It was the first mistake the aliens made. It would not be their last. Dr. Samantha Kelly looked out the window of the small ship as it flew toward the huge alien station near Jupiter. The Earth was now just a blue dot in the distance. She had never thought she would go to space. Now here she was, heading to an alien station to learn how humans would live under alien rule. "Nervous?" asked Alan Mendez, who sat next to her. He was a top scientist who knew all about energy and space. "A little," she said. "Wouldn't you be?" "I'm terrified," said Vincent Howard from across the small room. He was a diplomat, good with words and reading people, but also curious. Their ship docked at the station with a soft bump. When the door opened, cold air rushed in. It smelled like metal and something else. Something alien. A tall Xeraxian waited for them. "I am Krell," it said. "I will be your guide during your 30-day orientation." The station was huge inside. Aliens of many kinds walked the halls. Some had 6 legs. Some floated instead of walking. Some were small as dogs, others tall as trees. "The Galactic Council has 300 member species," Krell explained as they walked. "Earth is now the newest." "Member?" asked Vincent. "Or subject?" Krell's face did not change. "There is no difference in Council space." For the next week, the 3 humans learned about Council law. None of it was good news. Earth is a Tier 7 civilization, Krell told them in a large room with other alien students. "This means you have basic space travel, but are still primitive in most ways." Samantha bit her lip to keep from arguing. "Tier 7 worlds may not build ships that go beyond Mars," Krell went on. "You may not develop AI. You may not build certain weapons. Council companies will help manage your resources." "Manage?" asked Alan. "You mean take." "The Council ensures fair distribution," said Krell. "Your world has much water and minerals that other worlds need." Later, in their private room, the 3 humans talked in whispers. "They're taking over everything," said Samantha. "They'll strip mine Earth and call it fair trade. And we can't stop them," said Alan. "Their ships could destroy our cities in minutes." Vincent looked at a small device in his hand. "Unless we learn enough about them to find a weakness." He showed them the device. It was a scanner, built to look like a normal pen. It was recording everything they saw and heard. "The president knew they would do this," Vincent said. "She chose us not just to learn their rules, but to find ways around them." "That's very dangerous," Samantha said, but she felt a small hope growing. "Look around," Alan said. "See those other new species here? They all just accept this. They believe they can't fight back." "Humans are different," said Vincent. "We never accept chains, no matter how nice they look." The next day, they met aliens from other new worlds. Most seemed happy with their place. "The Council brings peace," said a furry alien called a Vex. "Before they found us, we had wars and hunger. Now we have neither." "But you're not free," said Samantha. The Vex looked confused. "Free to do what?" "Make mistakes, destroy ourselves." "Free to choose your own path," said Alan. The Vex laughed. "Such a primitive idea. The galaxy is too big, too dangerous for that." That night, Samantha lay awake thinking about Earth, about her home in Colorado, about the mountains and rivers. Would they still be there in 100 years? Or would the Council dig them up and ship them to the stars? "We need to learn everything," she told Alan and Vincent at breakfast. "Their tech, their laws, their weak spots." Vincent nodded. "And we need to make them think we accept all this, that we're happy to be the new kids at school." "Can we really fool them?" Alan asked. "They think we're simple," said Samantha. "That's their mistake." What the aliens didn't know was that humans had been telling stories about fighting against powerful enemies for thousands of years. They had practice at being the underdogs, and they were very, very good at surprising those who underestimated them. 6 months after the aliens came, Earth looked peaceful. Council ships moved freely in the sky. Alien companies built offices in major cities. Council observers walked the streets, watching humans with their 6 eyes. "The humans are adapting well," said a Xeraxian named Trill to his boss. "They follow all rules. They work in our factories. They seem happy with their place." His boss nodded. "Good. Most new worlds fight at first. Humans are smarter than we thought." But deep under the Rocky Mountains, in a hidden base, things were very different. President Morrison walked into a large room filled with screens and busy people. The room didn't exist on any map. The people working there were officially listed as farmers, teachers, or office workers. "Show me our progress," she said to Dr. Greg Powell, who used to run NASA before the aliens came. Powell touched a screen. A 3D image appeared, showing what looked like an engine. "This is their faster-than-light drive," he said. "We've figured out how it works. We can build our own now." Morrison's eyes widened. "How?" "Their tech is supposed to be hundreds of years ahead of ours." "It is," said Dr. Kate Daniels, who stood nearby. She was small but had the sharpest mind in the room. "But they made a big mistake. They think we learn like other aliens do, slowly, step by step. But humans don't work that way," said Powell. "We jump ahead. We make connections. We think sideways when we can't go forward. And we share information better than any species they've met," added Daniels. "When one human learns something, we tell others." Major Frank Rivera, a tough soldier with scars on his face, pointed to another screen. "Their weapons are strong, but not as strong as they want us to think. And most of their ships are far away, watching other worlds." "They control thousands of planets with just a few ships," said Daniels. "They use fear and the belief that fighting back is impossible." "How long until we're ready?" asked Morrison. 3 years, said Powell. "Maybe 4. We need to build ships in secret, train people to use alien tech, create weapons that can hurt their ships. And we need them to keep thinking we're harmless," said Rivera. "Every day they think that is another day we get stronger." Morrison looked at the screen showing secret bases all over Earth, in old mines, under the ocean, in the thick jungles where satellites couldn't see. In these places, humans built their answer to alien control. "Keep working," she said. "Tell nobody who doesn't need to know. As far as the council is concerned, we're happy with our place." As she walked out, Morrison thought about her children, about all children on Earth. Would they grow up free, or would they serve alien masters forever? The answer would depend on what happened in the next few years. In space, on the council station, Dr. Kelly pretended to be amazed by a simple alien computer. "This is so advanced," she told her Soraxian guide. "I can barely understand it." The alien looked pleased. "Don't worry. In 100 years or so, humans might be allowed to use this level of technology." 100 years, Kelly said, smiling while hiding her anger. "We're so lucky to have your guidance." That night, she used a hidden device to scan the computer's code. The information would be sent to Earth the next time a supply ship returned. Bit by bit, piece by piece, humans were learning the alien secrets. The Council thought they had found just another primitive world to control. They were wrong. Earth was preparing something the galaxy had never seen before, a response that would change everything. Zorthal looked at the report on his screen and smiled. He was the main Council official in charge of Earth, and things were going well. Unlike other new worlds, Earth was following all rules. Humans worked in Council factories, watched Council entertainment, and asked permission before doing anything important. They understand their place. Zorthal told his assistant. "They know fighting us is pointless." His assistant nodded. "Yes, sir." They seemed quite happy as a Tier 7 world. What Zorthal didn't know was that every human who worked with the aliens was carefully chosen. They were all good actors. They all had perfect memories. And they all passed information back to Earth's secret program. Dr. Olivia Bennett walked beside a Council tech worker, watching him fix their communication system. She looked impressed by everything he did. "This is amazing," she said, her eyes wide. "How does it send messages instantly across such great distances?" The alien, pleased by her wonder, explained the system in simple terms, as if to a child. "It uses quantum linking. When particles are linked, they share changes no matter how far apart they are." "Incredible," said Olivia. "I wish I could understand it better." "Don't worry," said the alien. "In a few hundred years, humans might be allowed to use simple versions of this technology." Olivia smiled and nodded. Inside, she was memorizing every detail. Later, She would pass this information to Earth's scientists, who were already building their own quantum communication system. On Earth, Council observers walked among humans, writing reports about what they saw. They never noticed the secret messages hidden in street art. They didn't understand the coded conversations happening right in front of them. They had no idea that old subway tunnels, closed mines, and underwater bases were now full of humans building things the Council had forbidden. In South America, deep in the Amazon jungle, engineers tested a new engine that could send ships between stars. In old salt mines under Detroit, scientists built weapons that could fight Council ships. And under the Pacific Ocean, the first human starships were taking shape. The Council thought humans were focusing on art, music, and sports instead of technology. This made them happy. Primitive species were supposed to spend centuries enjoying simple pleasures before moving forward. Look at their entertainment, said a Council researcher, watching human TV shows. So much about love and family. So little about science or space. This is good. They're developing exactly as they should. The researcher didn't know that the best human scientists were not on TV. They were working in secret, using information gathered from Council computers, ships, and stations. On the dark side of the moon, hidden from both Earth and Council eyes, humans had built a base. Inside this base, the first ships of Earth's secret fleet waited. They were smaller than Council ships, but they were built by humans who knew the enemy's weaknesses. Major Rivera stood in the moon base, looking at the first 10 ships. How many more can we build before they notice? He asked a nearby engineer. At least 50, said the engineer. Their satellites don't scan this area often. They think the moon is empty and boring. And the weapons? Better than we hoped. Their shields have a flaw. Our weapons can break through if we hit the right spot. Rivera nodded. Good. Keep building. We'll need every ship we can make. In space, Council ships patrolled Earth's system, watching for signs of rule breaking. They found nothing. To them, Earth was just another quiet, obedient world joining the great galactic family. They had no idea that humans were planning something no other species had ever tried. They didn't know that Earth's patience was not submission, it was preparation. The trap was almost ready. The Council had spent thousands of years perfecting their system of control. They thought they had seen every possible response from new worlds. They were wrong. They had never met humans before. 3 years had passed since the aliens came to Earth. For the Council, it had been business as usual. Another world added to their collection. Another planet slowly being shaped to fit their rules. But Zevkor was worried. He was a Council intelligence officer, and something felt wrong about Earth. The power use on Earth's night side is higher than their reports show, he told his boss. Though, some metals are being used up faster than their approved projects need. Thorthal waved his blue hand. All new worlds try to hide small rule breaking. It's normal. This feels different, said Zevkor. And some humans in our facilities are asking very smart questions. Questions that show they understand more than they should. Humans are clever for primitives, said Sorthal. But they're still hundreds of years behind us. What could they possibly do? Zevkor frowned. I recommend we increase our watching of Earth. Fine, sighed Sorthal. Add a few more observers, but don't waste resources. Earth is the most peaceful integration we've had in years. On his way out, Zevkor passed Dr. Bennett in the hallway. She smiled at him. Hello, Officer Zevkor, she said. Beautiful day in space, isn't it? He nodded, still thinking about his worries. He didn't notice how carefully she washed him, or how quickly she walked away after they met. Within an hour, a coded message reached Earth. This is USP Key Watching and CREAZing. In the mountain base, President Morrison read the message with a tight face. How ready are we? She asked Admiral Clark. 70% of the fleet is ready, he said. Weapons are at 85%. Communication systems are working. Not enough, said Morrison. We need more time. We might not have it, said Dr. Powell. If they start serious searching, they'll find something. Morrison paced the room. Then we need to speed up. Move to the final stage. Operation Sunrise is now active. Across Earth, hidden groups got the message. In basements and attics, in caves and underwater bases, humans prepared. The plan that had been building for 3 years was now moving to its final phase. On a council ship above Earth, an alien watched his screens. Something had changed in human communications. There were patterns he didn't understand. He made a note to report it tomorrow. He never got the chance. That night, a cleaning worker, a human who had worked on the ship for 2 years without ever causing trouble, placed a small device under a control panel. The device sent out a signal that the ship's systems saw as friendly. By morning, the ship's computers had a new set of instructions buried deep in their code. Similar things happened on every council ship and base in the solar system. Small changes, tiny additions to computer code, new devices hidden in dark corners. None of the changes did anything yet. They were just waiting for a signal. In the White House, now watched by council observers, President Morrison gave a speech about Earth's happy place in the galactic community. She talked about peace and cooperation. The council observers in the crowd nodded, pleased by her words. Behind her smile, Morrison was counting down the days. On the moon base, the fleet was almost ready. 50 ships, each with weapons that could hurt council ships. They weren't as big or as strong as council ships, but they didn't need to be. They just needed to be good enough. Final checks complete, reported Major Rivera to Admiral Clark. We can launch in 3 days. Clark looked at the ships, built in secret over 3 years. Tell the crews to be ready. When the signal comes, we move fast. In his office on the council station, Zevkor looked at new reports from Earth. Power spikes in strange places, unusual movement of certain metals, and strangest of all, some humans had disappeared from their normal places. His worry grew stronger. Something was happening on Earth, something the council had never seen before. He was right to be worried, but it was already too late. Once a year, the council held a big meeting where all new worlds reported on their progress. Earth's report was scheduled as a small item on the meeting list. No one expected anything interesting from the newest Tier 7 world. Vincent Howard walked to the speaking stand in the huge council meeting room. Hundreds of aliens from different worlds watched with bored eyes. Most were checking their own screens, barely paying attention. Distinguished members of the Galactic Council, Vincent began with a bow. On behalf of Earth, I want to thank you for 3 years of education. A few aliens looked up, noticing his odd pause on the last word. We have learned much under your guidance, Vincent continued, about your technologies, your systems, your weaknesses. Now more aliens were paying attention. Whispers spread through the room. Effective immediately, Earth is declaring its independence from Council authority. We reject your classification system and your claim of control over our world and species. The room erupted in noise. Aliens stood up, shouting in different languages. Some laughed, thinking this was a joke. The Council Supreme, a huge alien with many arms, raised them for silence. This is meaningless, the Supreme said in a deep voice. Your species has no right to make such claims. Security, remove the human. Vincent smiled. I'm afraid your security systems are not working right now. Throughout the station, lights flickered. Communication systems went down. Alarm systems failed. 3 years ago, you told us that Earth was under your control, said Vincent. Today, Earth replies. The main screen in the room suddenly turned on. It showed images from across the galaxy, Council watching stations going dark, Earth's hidden ships appearing from secret bases, Council buildings on Earth now surrounded by human soldiers. Impossible, gasped the Supreme. No Tier 7 world could possibly. That was your first mistake, said Vincent. You put us in a box. You thought you knew what we could do. You never tried to really understand humans. On Earth, Council buildings were being taken over by Earth forces. The few Council ships in the solar system found themselves surrounded by Earth vessels that had appeared from nowhere. For thousands of years, you've used the same plan, Vincent said. You arrive, claim control, and slowly take over developing worlds. It has worked because you never met a species both able and unwilling to submit. The Council members watched in shock as reports came in from across Council space. Humans had somehow gotten into their most secure networks, copied their most advanced technologies, and built a response that was now happening with perfect timing. We don't want war, Vincent said clearly, but we will not be controlled. Earth is declaring itself an independent power, starting now. In Earth orbit, Admiral Clark stood on the bridge of the lead ship of Earth's new fleet. Status report, he said. All Council ships in the system have been surrounded, reported his officer. The computer overrides are working. They can't fire weapons or call for help. Any resistance? None yet, sir. They seem too shocked to fight back. Clark nodded. Good. Keep it that way. Back in the Council chamber, the Supreme was shaking with anger. This is rebellion. The penalty is destruction. You would have to catch us first, Vincent said calmly. And right now, your ships can't even move without our permission. He held up a small device. This controls the programs we've hidden in your systems over the last 3 years. One button, and we can shut down every Council ship and station within 100 light years. You're bluffing, said the Supreme. Vincent pressed the button. All around the Council chamber, the lights went out. Emergency systems came on, casting a red glow over the alien faces. That was a small demonstration, Vincent said. The next one won't be small. For the first time in 12,000 years, the Galactic Council faced something they had never expected. A species that had smiled, nodded, obeyed, and all the while prepared to break free. Earth had been silent for 3 years. Now, Earth was speaking. And the galaxy would never be the same. The 3-day war wasn't much of a war at all. Humans had spent 3 years not just building ships and weapons, but also making friends with other worlds that the Council controlled. As Council communication systems came back online, messages went out to every planet in Council space. The human message was simple. The time of Council control was over. Any world that wanted freedom would have Earth's support. Those who liked Council rule could stay, but no more worlds would be forced to join. Within days, 17 other recently taken worlds declared independence. Within weeks, that number grew to over 60. Old anger against the Council, hidden for years, came out across the galaxy. 1 month after Earth's big move, leaders from all worlds met for an emergency galactic congress. For the first time in 12,000 years, the Council had to talk as equals, not as rulers. You've messed up the entire galactic order, the Council Supreme said to President Morrison, who now represented Earth in person. We've fixed something that was wrong, Morrison replied calmly. Your order was built on controlling countless worlds. The talks were tense but productive. The Galactic Council would continue, but changed into a true group of representatives rather than rulers. Technology rules would be replaced with safety guidelines that respected each world's freedom. As the Congress ended, the Exaraxian who had first come to Earth approached Dr. Kelly. You know what really confuses us? The alien asked. Not how you made such a big technology jump. Not even how you planned such a galaxy-wide action. What we can't understand is why you didn't just destroy us when you had the chance. Our history shows that when species gain power over former controllers, they usually seek revenge. Dr. Kelly thought about this. Maybe that's why humans succeeded where others failed. We don't want to replace one empire with another. We want a galaxy where every species can decide its own path. As the new Galactic Accord was signed, news traveled across the stars. On countless worlds, beings looked to the skies with new hope. 5 years later, Admiral Clark stood on the bridge of the Earth ship Horizon as it approached the new Galactic Forum headquarters. "Did you ever think we'd end up here?" asked Dr. Kelly, now Earth's ambassador to the forum. Clark shook his head. "When those ships first appeared over New York, I thought it was the end of human freedom. Instead, it was just the beginning. The galaxy wasn't perfect. Some former council worlds struggled with their new freedom. Arguments sometimes happened. But for the first time, in thousands of years, the galaxy's future wasn't controlled by a single power." As the Horizon docked next to ships from 100 worlds, Clark thought about humanity's journey. The Council had expected humans to submit. They had put them in a box, dismissed what humans could do. Instead, they had received Earth's reply, and the galaxy would never be the same. On Earth, children now learned about both Earth history and galactic history. They looked at the stars not with fear of alien control, but with excitement about what they might find there. In schools across the planet, teachers told the story of how humans had pretended to accept their place while secretly preparing to change everything. It was a story of patience, cleverness, and courage. The Council claimed control, a teacher told her class as they looked at pictures of the alien ships that had once seemed so frightening. But they didn't understand who they were dealing with. A small girl raised her hand. "What did they get wrong about us?" The teacher smiled. "They thought they knew what we could do. They thought they could put limits on human potential. They had seen thousands of species across the galaxy, but they had never met humans before." "And what makes humans different?" asked a boy. "We never accept chains," said the teacher, "no matter how nicely they're offered." Outside the classroom window, a ship rose into the blue sky, heading for the stars. Not as visitors to someone else's galaxy, but as equals in a new galactic community that humans had helped create. Earth had replied to the Council's claim of control, and everything had changed.